Hey everybody, welcome back to the Court of Random Opinion. My name is Lauren Neidigh. I'm here today with my friends Cassidy O'Connell and Leanne Newton, who you guys are surely familiar with. We were going to have Ashley Brianna Eve join us as well, but unfortunately she had some business to attend to, so we're going to have to carry on without her somehow. I don't know how, but we're going to figure it out.
We'll make it.
Yeah. So we're going to go over this New York Times article that came out a couple days ago. It's an opinion piece by Kat Tenbarge. And it's largely a kind of reframing of what was written in The Atlantic, that opinion piece in The Atlantic not too long ago. It's not quite the same. I think there's a little bit of difference here and there. I didn't see anything about the bots, but maybe I just missed that part. We'll see, because we're going to go through the whole thing together. But I just wanted to get a couple of other women here to talk this through with me, because I think the article kind of paints us all as like horrible misogynists who just like hate Blake Lively because she's a chick, which is not true. Not true at all. So we're going to actually spell that out for some people who need to hear it, maybe, exactly why this person is not a credible source of information. So,
you know what makes me so mad about this?
What's up?
Is that we love our community. We're always talking about that, how great our community is. And what is our community? It's almost completely made up of women. We allow Zach in because we love Zach and Omar, and that's about it. The rest of us are women, and we are so supportive of each other. I've never heard any of us say anything bad about any other creator. We all promote each other. We go on each other's channels. Mm-hmm. If I see a video of you guys, I'll repost it on X. I'll repost it here.
Right.
And I think we're so good to women, to each other, in a very good, wholesome, upbuilding way. And then I see people who claim, all the ones who call us misogynists, and the name Mommy Sleuths. Are you really using mommy as a way to insult us?
I don't have any kids either, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. But even, if we all did, that's not an insult. To call someone that's a misogynist insult right there. But these people who call us misogynists are so awful to other women. They either spend their days on X or Reddit or wherever they are attacking other women. They forget about every woman victim of Blake and Ryan. That's all okay. But just because we don't like Blake and Ryan, by the way, and I dislike Ryan more than I dislike Blake, to be honest.
I can see that.
They call us that. It's so ridiculous. Like, get a new thing, because that's not working. We're very good to other women.
Yeah, it's also just like there's a million different versions by different women of this like reasoning for us not really thinking her story is credible and why we don't really believe what she's saying. And it's like they totally miss the mark on that every single time when they do one of these opinion pieces or one of these articles in The Atlantic or whatever. It's like, I notice you have not mentioned one single argument to the contrary and sort of tried to rebuff that at all. So that's obviously not a coincidence. So
yeah.
Somebody said, let's see, does Lauren's voice sound weird? It does. My bag, I was supposed to pick up my bag last night, guys, and it went to Phoenix without me, and I'm not in Phoenix, as you can see. So, I don't have my microphone or any of my stuff or any of my clothes or anything like that. So,
I hate it for you.
So I'm going to sound like this for today, and we're just all going to pretend that's not happening. I will try not to shout as much as I did last night, because I didn't realize is that since I didn't have my microphone, I'm wearing the earbuds. The microphone is like right here, and so normally when I like yell a little, it doesn't really pick up that much. But last night when I played it back some, I was like, oh god, that's just terrible.
You still sound better than I did when I was with you guys on Omar's channel, because I was getting an echo so bad. So I put on my earbuds, and they plugged into my PC. And I'm still like shouting into like my regular microphone on a stand, because you're going louder, just say loud. And I'm like leaning forward and screaming into my microphone, but I forgot there's a microphone on my earbuds, and that's what it was coming through. And it's just like swinging way down, not even anywhere near my mouth. So
You did that when you were on my live stream as well. Do you remember, Kirsty?
What's that?
You made the same mistake on my live stream as well. Do you remember from the car?
Yeah, I was in the car, and doing it through the car was echoing back for Leanne real bad. So I was on these. It was terrible. So hopefully this time it's better.
Today, we hopefully have our shit together with the technical stuff. But other than me sounding weird, apparently, which is actually not that out of character. So we're just gonna go with it. All right, let me pull up this article and we'll start reading through it. I believe Cassidy said you have not read it yet.
I have not read it. I have not.
It's not going to be it's not going to be anything you haven't heard before, to be honest. But we're gonna. I just wanted to talk it through with some other people, and because I feel like it's important to explain why. It's not just be like, this article is stupid, I hate it, which is what I do on a regular basis, but to explain to people why it's so stupid.
Yeah,
and just to say. So the author of this article and the creator cited in this article, they're both people that I've seen mentioned a lot, and people have some pretty harsh things to say. Personally, like when I think of people who are very pro, like Blake Lively's side of this situation, I try to remember like that is, obviously my beliefs that led me here are subjective. I'm not objectively correct necessarily. We haven't gone through the court case, and nothing's been, ruled on as far as like the actual claims that are being made. There's not been a verdict. So like, I'm not objectively correct. I try to remember that like as justified as I feel my opinions are, and as far as I've gone to try to kind of back that up, I feel like I try to remember that a lot of these people are coming from a place of that's what they really believe, and they have their reasons for really believing that. And so I don't want to, like really shit on anyone for having a different opinion than me, even though I disagree with it. And I think, the things that Blake Lively has done are terrible. I try to remember that not everybody is going to see things the same way that I do. So I'm not going to spend any time like shitting on the lady who wrote this article or the creator that she cites. I will talk about why I think the points they're making are kind of shit, but I'm not going to go out and attack another person, even, people who are on Twitter and like regularly like hating on me or whatever, or on Reddit, whatever. I don't need to go out of my way to attack those people to make my point. I don't. I block them, and sometimes it gets to me when it gets like really high volume, but I move on. I block them and I move on. Yeah. So I don't want to spend too much time doing that, and I'm just saying that because I know a lot of people in the chat are going to want me to go full, Lauren's calling someone a cunt on them, and I'm not going to do that. So that's not what I'm here for today. So yeah, I don't really. Yeah. I mean, you can do what you want, man. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just telling you that's not where I'm going with this. So, all right. Are you guys able to see that? I'm going to read it, but I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay. What if I do that? Can you still see it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me move back up. And I actually have a clip that I'll show in here when we get to a certain point, too, because they're talking about Shasti.
Picture, by the way. That's the best they could do.
I don't know who made that, man. This person, I guess. I don't know. But Cassidy is the one who does the thumbnails really well. Mine are pretty much the same thing repeated over and over again. Sometimes I use a different color, but that's about it. Yeah. I use like the same 3 photos.
I have so much fun with my thumbnails.
Yeah. I just don't I don't have the motivation to make a funny thumbnail. I got to work on it. We'll see. All right. So here's where it starts. Last month, a judge threw out the actor Justin Baldoni's $400 million defamation suit against his former co-star Blake Lively. From the way many online spectators have treated her, you'd think she was the one who was losing. The ruling was part of a legal saga that began when, just after the release of Miss Lively and Mr. Baldoni's film It Ends With Us in 2024, something odd happened. The typical junket interviews and online chatter about the film turned against Miss Lively, casting her as bossy, flippant, and difficult. Okay, so I just want to pause right there, because where do you think that criticism came from? Video of her being bossy, flippant, and difficult.
So many videos.
Right.
So many.
Yeah.
Every single one.
It's just so crazy to me. They're like leading with that as like the basis, the strong basis for this article, or like their opinion about misogyny slop ecosystem or whatever. And I'm just like, have you actually watched the material that you're citing? Because she is bossy, flippant, and difficult. It is not hard to understand where that criticism came from at all.
Right.
I mean, the thing about the
go ahead.
Hold on. I'm going to mute myself and you're going to tell.
Oh. if you look back, I recently did that, like went back a couple of years ago. You can go back, I think it's like 3 years ago, before the movie started being made. And people were talking about the book that they loved, that it was becoming a movie. And there's an old I think it's on the Colleen Hoover one.
I've been seeing that on Bushbirds a lot.
Yeah. Oh, I heard they were doing that. I heard they were doing that. I had that I had screenshot after screenshot that I saved up like a couple of months ago and I never got to. So I'm glad somebody did it. Mm-hmm. But I went through and screenshot it all just in case something happens and it gets cleared out. But when it's just in the book phase, like they're talking about it being a movie, they're listing all these actresses they would love to see play Lily, the ones they want to see play Ryle. Mm-hmm. None of it's Blake. And then Blake gets chosen and the criticism starts already. Even people who like her were like, she's beautiful, but she's not Lily. Yeah. And then when they start seeing her filming, it just gets way worse from there. Mm-hmm. But this is way back. Way back. It really, really was happening legitimately.
Mm-hmm. And they have one here that says Justin Baldoni travels backwards 7 years in time to start a smear campaign. Like this criticism and stuff, it's like a decade old, dude. Yeah. So if you guys
I had a busy family weekend that went till yesterday. I still had family stuff yesterday, so I got really behind.
Hold on, let me link to their channel.
Oh, this looks amazing.
Follow my friends. You should watch them. They're really funny.
I love her voice. She's got an amazing voice.
I like Chad's laugh.
50,000 hours.
I love Chad's laugh. I can't even imitate it. It's
yeah. They're so cute together.
Yeah, definitely. Hang on. Where were we here? We're gonna dive. Unless Leanne, did you want to share anything or?
No. I agree with you. You know, this is all. It genuinely has been organic. I think the problem here is we're dealing with someone who can't take criticism. Yes. You know, she's searching for an untraceable smear test that doesn't exist. But I don't know. Yeah, all you have to do is look at the videos, look at the way she is, the way she acts towards people, the way she speaks. It's right. I'm not going to start early.
That's all right. We'll let you build up to that. Where you're going with that one.
We got one paragraph down so far.
All right. Well, we're halfway through. We're like 1.5, I think. So, I mean, it's not very long, but okay. Let's see. In December, Miss Lively filed a legal complaint against Mr. Baldoni and his team of hired publicists. Everybody has hired publicists in Hollywood, but all right. Claiming that the bad PR was at least in part coordinated by them after she spoke up about on-set sexual harassment. According to her complaint, they had orchestrated a smear campaign using tabloids and social media. A lawyer for Wayfair in the studio of Mr. Baldoni and his producer has called Miss Lively's claims completely false, outrageous, and intentionally salacious. Well, nice of you to actually include that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, I guess. All right. Mr. Baldoni, in turn, sued her and her husband, the actor Ryan Reynolds, for defamation and lost. His suit against the New York Times for covering her complaint was also dismissed. Do you want to talk about why? Maybe? Do you want to talk about why that was dismissed? Because it's not because what he said was objectively incorrect.
Mm-mm.
But the damage was already done. She has been caught in a storm of public discussion about her appearance, her personal relationships, and whether she was acting mean during press junkets. One, she was acting mean during press junkets. She was a total bitch.
There's no question.
Yeah. Her personal relationships, recorded. I don't care. I couldn't give a shit about her appearance. I couldn't give a shit, honestly, about most of her personal relationships. If you're talking about Taylor Swift, that personal relationship is extremely relevant to the matter at hand. But other than that,
well, that relationship become relevant anyway because of Blake Lively's own words. I mean, she's the one that said all the way through the marketing, Taylor Swift is with me. She
also said in her in her disclosures, she said that Taylor Swift would have knowledge of the situation. In her disclosures.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So that's stupid as hell. When they're like, oh, that's so embarrassing for that to come out after they were like, oh my gosh, they're just dragging through the press to create drama or whatever. You named Taylor Swift in your disclosures. Are you a moron?
What was she thinking?
I don't know. Like, that's just so stupid. Like, so many of these things that they come out and with like total outrage, it's like later on you see that like, actually, you brought this up, ma'am. Like, what? Like, what? Oh, that's like ordering. I don't know. It's like ordering a cheeseburger and then getting mad because you forgot to tell them no pickles or something. I don't know. That's the best I can do. Jesus Christ. All right. Let's see. Her experience is fast becoming a matter of course in high-profile cases involving accusations of sexual violence or harassment. Public figures who speak up now can face retaliation and recrimination. Recrimination, not just from the people they said abused them. Okay. But also from an online public that's thirsty to see them torn apart. Why are they thirsty to see them torn apart? Could it perhaps be because they weren't, like properly roasted in the first place? Because it kind of feels like that's where we're going with this one.
We're catching up for all the years she got away with all the things she
did. Her behavior clearly didn't change.
Yeah.
It got worse.
And who else is the public at large recriminating, to use her word?
Amber Heard, probably. I don't fucking know.
And I didn't even watch that. Because it was a couples thing, and I thought I was really busy in the Murdaugh stuff at the time, and I was like, they're probably both jerks, so I'm not even going to touch this.
No, it's a clear winner.
The only thing I knew is there was somebody pooped the bed. That's all I knew.
Well, it wasn't the dogs.
No.
Like I didn't actually watch that trial either. I read like recaps and stuff. I didn't actually watch the whole trial, so I don't speak on that too much. I know that Amber Heard is continuously. Leanne, did you see the thing that just popped up on the docket?
Yeah, it's an old one.
Oh, it's an old one.
Transcript from a hearing.
Oh, boring.
Oh, okay.
We already have that shit. Okay. Anyways, I don't really speak on that too much. I know that Amber Heard was less than honest about her own abusive behavior in that situation, and I know that she lied about some of what he did or said. And I know that she apparently, and in my opinion, just from what I saw, apparently faked, having some bruises and stuff like that. Which that didn't really add up to me.
And she lied about donating the settlement, because she publicly said that, I've donated the 7 million to a children's hospital and the ACLU, and they proved that she hadn't.
Right. Oh no! Oh, see, I didn't know that. Well, that's terrible.
And Amber Heard is obviously going to be mentioned later in this
article.
But
she's hated because she's a woman, not because she lied about donating to a children's hospital of all things.
Right, exactly.
Apparently, in this author's head, yes, that's exactly how she played it.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, this is once again the New York Times failing to handle a very serious and important topic like sexual harassment and even sexual violence when it comes to the accusation against Johnny Depp, handling these very serious subjects without care, allowing them to use Amber Heard as a martyr when Amber Heard is a proven liar.
Yeah.
So, I don't understand why they feel like it's a good idea to continue to put her out there, because no matter what you think Johnny Depp did, what we know for sure is that she also lied. She also was abusive. She also made false accusations and was embarrassed by it in court. So why are you continuing to push this person in these articles and allowing that to happen? And like using that as an example of like, we should believe women because of Amber Heard? Are you nuts?
Find a better role model. There's a lot of good women out there.
Absolutely. Well, so when I think about like just like a recent example that comes to mind, and I don't actually know a lot about what's going on with this. I think it's just allegations at this point. But like Alex Cooper came out, Call Her Daddy podcast, came out and said that her former coach was abusive to her. And like, I'm not going to stand here and say that she's lying. I don't know. I don't know much about that situation at all. I'm also not going to say the coach was abusive. So like, it's generally speaking, I think people can, kind of, I don't want to say like sit on the fence, but people can be supportive and like listen to what someone's saying when they make allegations without like criminalizing or like condemning the other person until we have all the information. So like it's yeah. So there are better examples to use. Like if this were like Alex Cooper who made allegations and we haven't really had a chance to see that play out at all. If Alex Cooper was being demonized, then I would agree that that's a problem. But Amber Heard.
My starting point with Amber Heard was I did believe her because you had photos of bruises and things like that. I think Johnny Depp has, the one difference between him and Justin Baldoni is Johnny Depp has got the drugs and the drink problems, and he's had some kind of,
Right.
you know, he's been a bit abusive to cabinets and hotel rooms and things. But I watched that trial. I watched every minute of it, and I followed the UK one incredibly closely as well. And I do not believe that he was abusive to her. He may have shouted back names and things, you know, when they get into a situation where they're as bad as each other. But she's the one that was physically hitting. You know, she's the one who was lying. She was the one who was cheating and having James Franco and Elon Musk over. So I don't, especially when you listen to the
I didn't even know that part. So.
Oh yeah, have his and it's Cara Delevingne as well. But
I didn't know any of that. Wow.
But also, like, all the things that she accused him of, like literally the worst thing. And like, when you listen to her testimony, there's no way he could have done it, actually, because he just had his finger severed by her.
Yeah, and you're using that woman as an example of a martyr for like. Yeah, you need to believe women when they make accusations because she cut her husband's finger off. Like, what the fuck are you talking
about? Oh, that's crazy. I didn't know any of that. I really did just steer clear of that one because I didn't want to pick a side. I want to hear.
Good watch. Yeah. It's a good watch, if nothing else, for the experts that were brought on as well. Amber Heard's experts were just so useless. It was so bad. She might have won the trial, actually, if she hadn't bothered with the experts.
Oh, jeez.
It was that bad. One of them actually was you'll appreciate this, Lauren. One of them was like a psychiatrist, and honest to God, he tried to diagnose Johnny Depp based off of his character as Jack Sparrow.
Yeah, I heard that recently, and I was like, I've never seen that before. If that's on YouTube, I need to find it because that's hilarious.
Yeah, I will send you more detail because that was worth a watch. Because the court wouldn't order an examination, so he tried to diagnose him with, I think it was narcissistic personality disorder based off his character as Willy Wonka and Jack Sparrow. And I was like, what?
Well, why didn't he at least consider Edward Scissorhands or
wait, the doctor who did that wasn't
he was a really nice guy in What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
They didn't call Leslie Dobson to diagnose him, did they?
Oh no, this was worse than Leslie Dobson, honestly.
I don't even want to know what that looks like.
It was just so funny.
Yikes, bro.
Anna.
Talking about female content creators and how I don't want to bag on them. The only one that I feel like I have really bagged on is that doctor because she's done things that are way outside the ethical boundaries of her profession, and it's gross. But anyways, let's move.
I know which one you mean.
Yeah. All right, let's move forward through this a little bit. Okay. Got through that. Public figures who speak up can now face recrimination, blah, blah, blah. We saw this before. Here it is. Yeah, what we just talked about. Remember how Amber Heard was treated during Johnny Depp's defamation case against her like someone who lied? Throughout Miss Heard's trial, YouTube channels uploaded hundreds of videos that were eligible for hundreds of thousands of dollars in advertising revenue. Well, are you working for free, Kat?
Yeah.
I just want to know, are you working for free?
And how much money do they think YouTubers make?
I don't know, but it's not very much.
Can I just sort of put, because I can say this, because I'm not monetized, so I'm doing all of this for absolutely
nothing. You work harder than all of us, Leanne.
Thank you.
Right.
Really?
No, I mean, I do. I honestly, between X and YouTube, I spend, I work longer days now doing this than I ever did when I was working in practice. I'm enjoying it a lot more, so I'm not complaining, but I am not monetized on a single thing. I get no super chats. I get no ad revenue. I get nothing like that at all.
Wow.
I've had 2 people send me something small on PayPal, which I'm incredibly grateful for. And that's, that was kind of their choice to do that. But, other than that, I've had not a penny for any of this, and I'm more than happy to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because it's literally pennies to the 1,000 views.
Yeah.
It's so little for 1,000. It's crazy. And it's expensive.
Right.
Pacer is expensive.
Pacer is outrageous.
Okay.
That shocked me my first
old school. I have to print stuff out if I'm just staring at my screen, I'm not going to concentrate. I will start looking other stuff up. I need it on paper with a pen in my hand. So I have to study it first, write a script, record it, then go back through and edit it because I'm a psychopath and can't stand to hear, because I'm a shallow breather, and then all of a sudden I take a deep breath, and I hate the sound of it.
I know what you mean, dude.
I go through and edit every single one of those out.
Right.
I say things and then I'm like, I said that really terribly, and I repeat it. So I have to go back through and cut out all of the stuff that I said and then fixed. It takes out. I was up literally all night making the one that I did yesterday. It's ridiculous how long it takes to make this. If I were doing this for a living, I would be homeless.
There'd be not enough, and there'd be not enough time in the days. But Lily's made a really good point. Lauren does spend a hell of a lot of money on the documents, but not only that, she makes them available for everyone else to save them having to spend money, which is incredible. On my threads, I just picked out the odd pages. Now I put the whole thing up, one way or another, even if I'm not commenting on it. So, I think it's great that content creators are kind of making sure that the public, because you can't get everything free on Court Listener. So I do think it's a really, really great thing that the community is, some people in the community are saying, look, here you go, here, have a copy of the PDF, or here, it's all in my thread.
Right.
Yeah.
So then people can go read it then, can't they, for themselves and see for themselves what is going on. And it's not us just cherry picking.
Right.
Right. Well, I went through, when I started doing this, I went through everything. When I say everything, I mean, people were sending me like all kinds of things to look into, past cases and all this stuff. And so I dug into everything. I bought the documents for everything. I read through everything because I'm not going to just come out here and be like, this lady's lying about being sexually harassed without doing that, and B, talking to people, which I've said openly now. Like, I've talked to people. I've never asked them for any information about this lawsuit or anything like that, but I've talked to people who worked with Justin on this film, on other films. I've talked to people who are just his friends, people who love him, and I asked them, like, what kind of man is this? Like, and some of them, obviously didn't answer, because why would they? They're in the middle of they could potentially be called for this lawsuit. But some of them did, and the response that I got was very overwhelmingly positive, and I just, like, it took me a lot of research and time and care to decide that I believe this man, and that is where I am, like, planting my feet. So I did all of that, and I also, when I started to build this platform, my kind of thing was, I'm going to beat the tabloids. I'm going to get there first. I'm going to get everything and put that out there. So my first Pacer bill, and I haven't said this because Omar's eyes about popped out of his head when I told him this, but my first Pacer bill for the quarter this year was almost $3,000. And now I think this quarter, I'm doing a little bit. It's a little lighter now, especially I've been traveling, so I'm not trying to get to everything so fast, especially because I know now people are going to come listen anyways. I don't have to worry about beating TMZ. So, and I do like to be on top of it, and I like to get to things as quickly as I can, just because that's how I like to work. It feels good. I don't know, but my bill this time is like half of that. Maybe it's like I'm up to like maybe 1,400 or something, but still, it's a lot.
It is. It adds up, and they separate each, because after like 30 pages, it's supposed to be solid, but then you go in there and there's like exhibit A, exhibit B, and then you have to start over, up to.
And every time you search, it's up to $3 every time you search the docket now. So every time I refresh, every time I like look to see if anything's been updated, if there's a judgment or anything like that, at $3. So that's how that all, it hits you like faster than you think it will. Because I thought surely this is going to be $1,000. No, it was like $2,700. So.
Yeah.
And when, especially at the start as well, when all of the, the stories were going around as well, you had, the Travis Flores case, you had the Shane Norman case, and then they were trying to say that Van Zandt was actually done through the Starkloff and Aviation Gin case. So I and I know you've done the same thing. You've gone looking to see, well, is there anything to do with any of the businesses? And I've gone through, other past cases as well, where people have been like, oh, well, he's been sued for this, he's been sued for that. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Looked into it, found it was a complete nothing burger, done my video and my threads on it. And then I've gone and looked into Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds as well, and pulled up all their previous cases as well. So there's a balance, you know. It's not just you know, like, well, I'm going to put Blake Lively under a microscope, you know, and ignore anything that may have, you know, any kind of allegations about Justin Baldoni's past behavior. They've all been thoroughly looked into. And certainly with Justin Baldoni, I was really looking hard for some kind of evidence of some bad behavior.
Yeah.
But the lawsuits he was involved in were, you know, mistakes, actually. They were nothing. So,
and people throw that up without looking into what they actually were.
Oh yeah,
right.
That makes me mad.
Exactly. And when there's now no excuse, because I have a deep dive series on both the lawsuits with Shane Norman and Travis Flores, and you know, the fact that he's still a client anyway of Shane Norman, so that tells me a lot. But yeah, so there was then we had to pay for that. Then there was looking for no, there's so many dockets. There's like 4 different jurisdictions.
Yeah, you have to spend so many.
There were 16 parties at one point in this case.
Yeah, so the Flores thing, especially, even when you look at that shit, like, that's an LA Superior Court. They make you pay for that too. I'm like, oh god.
Yeah.
So I bought all those documents too, and I was like, Jesus, I don't have any fucking money. But like, no, I actually did. I made enough money to offset the cost of everything. And I understand, like, because I see a lot of people in the chat now who are like, oh my god. But no, understand, I knew this was an investment. There's absolutely no reason for me to go as hard as I did on that, but I did it anyways because that's what I wanted to do, and that's how I wanted to build my platform. Like, I wanted to have that reliability. Like, I'm going to be here every time, no matter what. And then, unfortunately, you know, I started traveling a lot in the last month or two, and so I slowed down a lot. But at the same time, I think that people know at this point I'm going to be here. So it's kind of like I didn't do that to ask people for money, but I do want people to understand, especially when we see articles like this doesn't come from a place of misogyny. It comes from a place of, I did every single thing that I possibly could to get every piece of information that I possibly could, both in court documents and just talking to people, talking to real people and understanding these, you know, the figures who are involved in this. So
who have you ever heard accused that after the accusal, a whole long line of women come up and say, it happened to me too, but I was too scared to speak.
Right.
It's always like that.
Yeah.
It's never, this is the first time I've ever seen a situation where that didn't happen. And not only did that happen, every woman that had worked with him or knew him started coming forward and making public videos in the middle of all this. And it was so heated to defend him and say, this is not who he is, even after all this time. And just think about what has been dug up about Blake and what's been dug up about Ryan since this. And they've got an ex-CIA guy. I know I say it all the time.
Yeah.
They have not been able to pull up anything bad about Justin.
I will say, though, this isn't the first time I've seen one person allege, you know, someone be so horrifically abusive and then watched no one else come forward with the same allegations. That also happened in the Depp and Heard case. No one else come forward and said Johnny Depp had also abused me. In fact, they actually come and said he's been great.
Yeah, and he's been in how many movie sets and stuff?
Yeah, exactly.
So
he's been in long-term relationships as well, because remember, this is it was a domestic violence relation. You know, it was a personal relationship, and all of his ex-partners will come forward. You know, Kate Moss went on the stand and you know, testified at the hearing and said no, she's lying.
Yeah. Oh right, just Ricardo, because he was a toxically positive guy.
Oh god, not the toxic positivity.
Thank you, millennial mom.
I forget about that. Yeah, no, that was like the best they had for a minute there. And like, there's been like rumors about some like old TikTok videos and shit. I'm like, that's the best you can do. A bottom of the barrel, like some chick on TikTok said this happened. Let me tell you something. Like, so I don't know how many people in the chat, because most people who followed my channel from the beginning, you're going to know about the Clayton Echard case with Laura Owens. He was a lead of The Bachelor a couple seasons ago, and she falsely accused him of impregnating her with twins after nothing but a blowjob. And so he's been through the ringer with the false accusations. But shortly before that, he actually got accused by a girl, and I think it was TikTok, it might have been Instagram, of sleeping with her while he was in a relationship with Susie Evans, who he ended up with after his season of The Bachelor. And he had to prove using his like location data and shit that it wasn't him. And like it was just someone who looked like him who just told this girl to get in her pants, "Hey, I'm the Bachelor. I'm Clayton Eckerd." And I'm so like, you cannot trust like random chicks on TikTok because honestly, they might believe anything. Like, you can't just take that at face value. You cannot do that. Because and he actually like legit proved, he was like, I was at the gym at this time when you were fucking this man, and it wasn't me. So I don't know. And it was like on the opposite sides of the country. He was in Scottsdale. That chick was in New York. And so it was crazy. Yeah. It was crazy. So you can't like, even those like little TikTok videos that I hear rumors about where they're like, well, this chick said Justin did this, but it was taken off of TikTok. Well, I'm like, that doesn't mean shit. No. That does not mean shit. Because I could go on TikTok right now and say I slept with your husband. It doesn't mean it's true. Yeah. You know? Why would he? Well. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm not going to say nobody's ever going to come forward and say Justin did something wrong. I'm saying it is appropriate at this point to look at the credibility of that situation before accepting it as fact, even if it does happen. And it probably will, because people come out of the woodwork in this stuff. So, and especially when you are a powerful person who controls like TMZ and a lot of the media and the New York Times and all this kind of, bullshit. So
never in my life did I think that mainstream media was this bad. I'm not a conspiracy theorist person. When I hear stuff like that, I'm like, no, we have people, our investigative journalists want to get down to, want to really dig into the stories and expose things. That's what we're all about. I have to say that's probably been the most shocking thing for me, is to learn how much power and control is actually exerted over mainstream media. Because these huge things are happening in this case, and they're not being reported on. Things that I would have thought there would be reporters out there just scrambling to tell the story.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not happening. And it's so, that's to me the most mind-boggling thing about all of this, is to have access to what's actually happening in these court filings, to know what's happening, and none of it, or if it does get mentioned, it gets twisted so crazily in Blake's favor. And I will never look at mainstream media again. But I saw this woman, apparently she got fired for having an affair, so she's somebody that everybody puts down now. But she was saying that she had the Epstein story like 3 years before it came out. She had all of it.
Oh shit.
And nobody wanted to hear it. They gave her all kinds of excuses and reasons not to tell it. And then it finally broke out, and she was so mad that she had it all that time, but nobody would let her say it, because she worked in mainstream media and you get controlled.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. So crazy.
It is.
Lots of people having opinions about mainstream media in the comments. Well, Marbella says, New York Times broke my heart. It was the top journalism for me. Now I'm like a child who understands that Santa doesn't exist. That's so sad. But I understand.
But that's it. That's it. I was one that was like, oh, all these conspiracy theorists out there. These people want to get to the bottom of everything and expose it all. Boy, was I wrong.
Yeah. Well, look, this thing with Van Zandt is the thing that finally set me off, because I thought everyone was nuts. I was like, everybody's nuts. There's no way there's no way these lawyers would sacrifice or risk their careers for this kind of bullshit when they know it's not okay. There's no way that the mainstream media would just be like passing this off as okay. So like, I think I told Leanne this when we went over it right as Katie Joy broke that story.
Yeah.
Maybe I told Leanne this. I also told Omar months before, when this happened, when I was looking into all those lawsuits. I was just telling you guys about the past lawsuits from Blake and Ryan and pretty much everyone involved here, Leslie Sloan, whoever. And I found that John Doe lawsuit, and I was like, this is a mistake, right? This is like somebody initiated this case and they decided, we're not going to do that.
Yeah,
you don't see a subpoena. You don't see a subpoena on the docket. And so I was like,
public.
So I knew I saw that and I knew that it was there, but I didn't know what I was looking at. And I was like, surely this cannot be it, because that would be fucking ridiculous. And sure enough, that was it. And I think that was my breaking point, was like the next morning after Leanne and I went over, Katie Joy's breaking the story, when it was confirmed by Blake's lawyers to the Daily Mail, that was like my breaking point. I think people can go back and watch that and just like watch my face like melt while I'm like, wow, we actually live in this society. Like, this is...
Yeah.
Holy shit, like everything that I thought everyone was nutty about is like everybody was right. I was wrong, and I thought everyone was fucking nuts.
Yeah,
and I was wrong.
It's crazy all the things that this case has exposed.
Yeah.
That you can just do that. And now I wonder how many times it's been done.
Do you know, as a lawyer though, myself, I was initially, I was a bit like, oh my God. But taking a step back, I'm not as surprised. I'm disappointed though. It's not a good look for the legal profession. It's not. And when I did my video on it, we actually discovered that, there was someone at Michael Gottlieb's firm who had he'd been struck off for like a fraudulent scheme. So I think in that situation, when you got a demanding client who has deep enough pockets, there are some lawyers who are prepared to do whatever. I don't want to see how they could have thought they would have got away with that, because the first thing I would have said, because they didn't they didn't say, well, they were up front and said, well, yes, it was a subpoena. First thing a lawyer is going to say is, show me the subpoena.
Yes.
Like, so why I don't know why they thought they would get away with that.
Right.
And why did the New York Times buy it? That's what drives me crazy. Like I've said before, I have a little YouTube channel, but if someone came to me with a story like this, I would ask for the case number. I wouldn't take anything from that person. I would go look it up myself on an actual court website to make sure it was an actual lawsuit.
Right.
And I'm just me on YouTube. But the New York Times, they have a humongous legal department. That's their job, is to make sure that things like this are being properly researched and handled properly. How did they just accept this stuff? Well, how did you get this? Oh, from a subpoena, from a lawsuit. Why didn't they ask to see the lawsuit and then see Van Zandt and 10 Does?
Who the hell is Van Zandt?
We're cool. You're covered.
They may have seen that, though. They may have seen that and said, no, I can't take that. And that might have been why the CRD was then filed. Because they just needed enough to protect them.
That's right. Because the CRD was the day after that was closed.
Yeah. Okay. But I do believe that the New York Times was working with her for months.
Yeah.
Well, I personally know that as a fact.
You know that. You're the one who found the metadata.
I found the metadata, yeah.
I had someone on my channel, and I can't remember the name, and I don't want to say it wrong, but I had highlighted their name because they used to work in a smaller place than the New York Times. But they talked about how long it took to tell a story like this. And that even in a much smaller newspaper, they still had lawyers, they still had editors that had to go through everything and make sure it was legit. But the thing about the New York Times is they've been protected for so long. And I think a lot of New York law was written specifically for them through the years. And that's why they keep absolutely everything in New York. This is such nonsense. I've screamed so many times because I've covered other cases before this. And there were defamation cases that I've covered and talked about before. And in every case, when it was in federal court, when it was multiple jurisdictions, it always went, it's written in law everywhere else. Sorry, I'm getting choked up.
It's all good.
It's written in law everywhere else that it's about where the harm took place. And with defamation, it took place in your home, where people know you, in your neighborhood. And there's all these criteria, and the last criteria that it comes down to is it's plaintiff's choice. It's always plaintiff's choice because they're the victim. So how has New York twisted things so badly? And they just had a new case that was fought in a higher court, so it has to be followed, and it's called Kinsey. And that made it like every single case that comes through makes it a little bit stronger and a little bit harder to get to New York. And they've basically said, forget the victim, forget that there's multiple victims. The New York Times is in New York, and so New York Times always gets New York's jurisdiction because their protections in New York surpass the Constitution. And that's only New York. And so they will do whatever they have to do to be sure that anytime the New York Times ever gets sued, it has to happen in New York so that they can protect it. Mm-hmm. It's so maddening. And I hope that this case, I hope it goes further. I hope they appeal it all the way up to the Supreme Court, because Clarence Thomas, who's a Supreme Court justice, he keeps saying it's in decision after decision after decision. He's had it put in print. We need to review and change actual malice standard because it's impossible. And he said the standard we go by is from 1964, and that's a New York Times standard, New York Times, geez. Sullivan versus New York Times. That's the reason it's so hard for everyone in the entire country is the New York Times fault. But that was decided in 1964. And he said we're in a different world than we were in.
Very much. So it's been almost 100 years.
There's another one that supports it, not as strongly. He's very vocal about it. And there's another one. I can't remember the name of the person. And then there's a third. She wrote an article she's published for talking about actual malice, but it's before she became a justice. So I'm not sure if she has decided anything that way since she's officially won. They just need one more to get the 4 to get a case and reset that, because it needs reset. In 1964, people were much nicer. We didn't have the internet, and we didn't have so many things. Dude, so it needs to be updated. But as long as New York Times has the power that they have, it will never happen.
You know, when people ask questions like if you could have dinner with any historical figure, alive or dead, who would you pick? I would totally pick like a justice. I want to pick the brain in private.
Yeah.
Of a Supreme Court justice, just to hear what they would say off the record. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It'd be crazy. Yeah. This is just real sad. I understand. Yeah, it does feel like it sometimes. But hey,
I get just so pretend, you know, because you just hope. And I did like 4 episodes specifically about the New York Times and why they were not covered under this protection that they were claiming, because they weren't. But it just I knew they were going to win. I did, and
it certainly felt that way from the beginning. Yeah.
Yep, they always win. They can do, and now look what this is why they're monsters. This is why they write whatever they want, because they know that they're completely protected beyond the Constitution.
Yeah. Well, I don't want journalists to not be able to write things like this, like based on like a complaint, based on a lawsuit, based on a complaint, whatever. But like at the same time, it's like this went too far, dude. Like you should at least, it's your responsibility. I feel like as a person or as a woman championing yourself as like a Me Too advocate, Megan Twohey, to at least take responsibility to give like the other side a little bit more time to tell their story and to look into these claims and stuff. Otherwise, what are you really doing this for? I don't think you're doing it to help anyone else. I don't think you're doing it because you care. I don't think you're doing it because the issue matters to you, or to what allegedly happened to this woman matters to you at all. Because if it did matter, I think you would have looked into it a little bit more. You had all that fucking time. And you decided not to. You did not have to go forward with that.
They did them so dirty.
There's a bit of a question, like, you know, did they know the other half of the story? Because, you know, were the text messages, were they kind of cherry picked by the New York Times with Blake Lively, or
it's the question that we never got.
Was it Blake Lively who gave them cherry picked, or well, she's saying I got them from Stephanie Jones. So, you know, who knows? But some of those text messages, there's there's context. You can see that, you know, there's a part that leads up to it or continues on that is clearly missing. And, you know, like a reasonable person would go, well, what was the rest of that? You know, what was the response? Where's the attachment?
Even from that very beginning, the way she discredited Jennifer Abel's texts and Melissa Nathan's were all through her article and all through her video. And she sent out an email. Jennifer Abel responded, and she had a good response. And if you're a good journalist and you hear that, if I was about to put a story out and I heard what Jennifer Abel said, I would have said, stop the presses. We're not doing this story yet. There's more. There's something more here, and looked into it. But she didn't write a single word of Jennifer Abel's response. And her response was a good response. Why? This isn't about women, because you took down those two women, Melissa Nathan and Jennifer Abel, and you didn't even let them defend themselves. So you didn't do this for women. You did this for yourself because you thought you had a big old Harvey Weinstein story again. And you cannot convince me that that's not what she did, because if it was really about women, she would have cared about all women, including the ones that were all throughout her article. But she didn't.
And when the New York Times continues to publish stuff like this opinion piece and do handle the, you know, sexual harassment allegations the way they did in this case, I'm looking back on that and I'm like, you clearly don't, you know, care that much about women, because you're sitting here insulting and degrading women as stupid people who can't make their own decisions, or stupid people who only are misogynistic. They can't possibly think critically and have other reasons for believing that this person is lying. Like, you continue to devalue other women's critical thinking skills and opinions every time you fucking do this. And here we are, 7 months later, and you're still doing this shit. So,
and it does feel like it's you know, it feels like it's just another way of silencing women who are speaking out and calling out other women. You know, like you know, like you say, we've all sat, we've looked at everything, we've formed an opinion based on, you know, the information that was provided from both sides and all the stuff that's gone on. You know, again, as a lawyer, if you have a good case that you believe in, right, that it's good enough that you're going to blast it publicly and then bring up the lawsuit, you do not need to be doing the overt underhand tactics like getting a sham subpoena to steal someone's, you know, have unauthorized access to someone's communications. You don't need to be, you know, lying. Like today I picked up a lie in one of the filings today, you know, where it completely misrepresented what something Wayfarer said in a response yesterday. And I'm just looking, I go, you know, you're cancelling depositions, you're refusing to give dates to rearrange new ones, you know, you're not wanting to hand over communications, you're filing motions against everything, filing for sanctions. This does not strike me as people who are confident in their case. Professionally speaking, that's not, you know, like, that's not the act of someone who feels that they've got the evidence on their side.
Right. The whole way they presented about the film footage and stuff to get all the Blake fans all up in uproar about, oh, they didn't give it to her till July 1st. Oh, they didn't give her the password. Oh, they're still holding some of it. And it sounded terrible, and everybody's attacking on X. I saw that. And then you hear the truth of it. And they always knew July 1st was the date. Yeah. And then those cases I found, I don't know if you guys saw my video I put out today, but they cited a bunch of Judge Lime. And I went on Pacer. I bought so many things, and some of them were the wrong one. And I had to find the right one because they were big, long cases on Pacer. So, but I found them all. And what was funny to me is not only did they choose a bunch of Judge Lyman's cases, his own rulings, because at first I was thinking, wow, they have to do this because he won't rule fairly. So they have to find his own rulings to say, oh, what are you going to rule against yourself? And he probably still will. But not only that, they picked a couple of the cases where he did not disclose his financials. and should have recused himself. Those came up in there, and I feel like they might have been sending a little bit of a message, which I think was kind of amazing. But now I forgot what I brought that up for.
I also did see as well in the filing yesterday from against Leslie Sloan, actually, in response to Leslie Sloan's motion for attorney's fees and costs, in a footnote was the first hint, and it is just a hint, so no one hold me to this, but the first hint that they are preparing to appeal.
Oh,
so that was exciting because the deadline for an issue of law appeal is today.
That's
and
right.
I don't think it's coming.
Right.
I hope so.
But yeah, I got a little hint of a.
I've been wondering. I was wondering if those were like little, doing their own little Easter eggs about that stuff, because this case has not gone right at all. So Dawn's saying that Shirsty's video a few days ago shows an article from August 2024 where the New York Times printed an article and they smeared Blake. I bet Ryan and Blake.
I think I saw that. Yeah.
Threatened to sue if they didn't help them. Oh, that was what that journalist said about Epstein. Because there was Prince Andrew involved in it, they were worried that the royal family wouldn't let them interview Kate and Will or things like that. That's why she was stopped from the article, that they were threatened about never getting to. So that's what they do. You won't get to interview us again. Someone else will get the story.
Yep.
Or they get promised a certain amount of articles.
I want someone to have the balls to say no anyways, and then I'll follow that person for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. But
yeah. Okay, so we'll get into a little bit more.
Girl on girl crime, exactly. Girl on girl crime. And they didn't even. Yeah, to me, what they did to Jennifer Abel here, this woman, by her own admission, had thousands of pages of texts and emails from Jennifer Abel's phone that she combed through, that she had no business combing through, and then she won't even quote her response, not one word of it.
No, but she also printed a CRD where Blake Lively said that she was so traumatized she couldn't get out of bed or leave her home.
Yeah, that's clearly true.
But then subsequently then went on to say, oh, and she told me it wasn't even the worst. It's like, what? Which one?
Hey, Leanne, here I'm going to ask you really quick. Here it says Amber Heard's lawyer argued that lopsided social media coverage played a role in her eventual defeat. What do you think about that?
Yeah, they did come out and say, oh, yeah, the jury were looking at the social media, because it was going on for about 8 weeks with, stops and starts and delays, and it was a long trial. Yes, they did make that argument. I tell you what, one of the shining moments of that entire trial was watching Amber Heard whinging about the hashtags and things that were being used about her on X in particular.
Wait, what were the hashtags?
Amber Turd. And you know what? It was magical watching.
Is that because she pooped the bed?
Oh, God. Amber Turd, right? Because of the poop, yeah. But honestly, watching her lawyers actually letting Johnny Depp's lawyers for 20 minutes solid and not being able to do a damn thing about it, read into evidence Amber Turd over and over and over again was just comedy gold. But they did say that. You had that Chris Boozy come out as well and go, oh, there's bots, there's this, there's that. Mm-hmm. And it was just all rubbish. Oh, they went for Tug as well, that umbrella guy.
Yeah, Tug's a friend. I know Tug.
Yeah, his friend here. But yeah, they went for him as well and said, oh, Amber Heard's lawyer actually asked someone if they'd ever heard of that umbrella guy, and it was crazy. But it became evident that it was Amber Heard who was watching social media commentary on it, because she started changing her testimony. Yeah. So she had she put in evidence like a little makeup palette, which she inadvertently called a bruise kit, but she was supposed to be saying, oh, this covers bruises. Yeah. Well, that makeup palette hadn't turned out. The company actually did a video and said, we haven't made this for years before you alleged abuse. So what are you talking about? So then she had to change her story quickly on the stand. They're like, well, no, it's not that one. It's something like that one. After the opening statement had said categorically, it's this one. It was so funny. But I mean, she got roasted on the internet. But we were watching her incredibly dramatic testimony. I come away with the view that she is an awful actress. She has no business being an actress. They talked about the TMZ slip and how she notified TMZ to go to the court to photograph her bruise. They talked about the dog crapping on the bed. They talked about the fact that she pledged to donate money and all this crap, and then she's sitting there going, yeah, but I pledged it. And they were like, yeah, but you didn't donate it. And they were like, yeah, but I pledged it.
Pledge doesn't mean crap.
It was just absolutely mind-boggling. Wow. And it was so funny. So yeah, the internet did its thing and went nuts with it, and you had snippets of my dog stepped on a bee and all this crap because she was randomly inserting this crap in there. And like no one knew why. So it's not unfair to say that she got torn apart by the internet. She absolutely did. But it was warranted because her performance on the stand, it was a defamation case. She should have won that hands down. All she had to do was say, I believed I was, I felt abused. That was literally the bar she had to hit. But she testified so badly that and then she let slip things that if she'd just shut her mouth, it wouldn't have come in, like Kate Moss coming in and saying, no, he never hit me, like the details of her previous arrest for domestic violence against her former partner. And she lost the case hands down, and it was her case to win. But you have to watch this. You have to watch the trial.
It's just if we ever get a break in this one, I keep thinking eventually they're gonna go start making their cases and stop fighting.
Nah, never mind. We're not gonna do that. It's fine. No breaks. Okay, so this part here is gonna get into Shasti Flaa. You guys all know who Shasti Flaa is, and if you don't, where have you been? But I met with Shasti and talked to her for a little bit a few weeks back. And so before we get into the rest of this article, I just wanted to play this for you. So I want people to keep this in mind. Hang on. It's just a little bit of what we talked about. I'm not gonna play too much of it, but
I love her new law.
Yeah, but this is just some important context because of what they're about to say about her. So let's listen to this real quick.
People start talking, and then all this information is.
Can you guys hear that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Spread around, and it's all big fat lies that she made up.
So all of that, the HR complaints and stuff like that, and she's saying she has all this inside information. Have you spoken to anyone from the set or anything like that?
No,
I didn't think so.
Also, I haven't tried to reach out to anyone because I want to just completely remove myself from everything because I want to be transparent. And
it certainly seems that way. Absolutely. I'm like, this person has never represented herself as somebody who has some sort of special information. Like you've always just said, like, this is my firsthand experience with Blake, this person involved in this big public scandal. But you've never come out here and been like, I know everything. You know what I mean?
No, I don't know more than most people. I mean, I know what it feels like to sit in a room with Blake Lively when she's not loving you. But many times, I mean, I met these people, a lot of them that it's talking about here. And I've been in Hollywood, I've been working there for so many years. So I know a little bit about how things work, but I haven't spoken to anyone. I wish I would have spoken to someone on the set. Someone told me, a friend of mine who's an actress said she knew one of the photographers at the set, but that's, I don't know anyone there. I don't know any one of the publicists. I don't remember meeting Leslie Sloan. I'm sure I've met her since, I've interviewed Blake Lively a few times, so I'm sure she was in the room. But no, I just kept my distance on purpose as well, because I could have reached out to people to try and get more information about certain things, but I was like, no, it's better to just like keep my distance. I'm a part of this already. I mean, all the subpoenas, so I don't want to get more involved than necessary. And I think for me, the best way I could kind of help Justin is to kind of stay out of it and stay.
So that's all I'm going to play of that. But still, I just wanted to show that is her kind of mindset and what she had to say about have you been involved or have you talked to anyone on the set and stuff like that. And yet her name is constantly being dragged through the mud because she put out this like first kind of recent viral video of Blake acting like a jackass. And it is not fair the way that people kind of put her down. And this creator in particular they're about to cite, like I said, I'm not going to shit on this creator, but I will say that her kind of fixation on Shasti in particular, I'm like, dude, just stop. Like, because I've actually, talked to this person. Has she ever actually talked to Shasti? I doubt it, because if you ever talked to her, she's like a really nice, sweet person and also just like very smart and very practical. And she's not crossing any lines. And just because somebody's talking every day about something you don't like doesn't mean that you get to tell them that that's a bad thing to do, that you're a bad person for that you have to stop. Just don't listen to it.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to get you guys' thoughts on that, because they're going into kind of talking about Perez and Shasti here. And also, I have to go to the bathroom real bad, so I can hear you, but I'm not going to be on the screen for like 2 minutes. I'll be right back.
So I've never heard of this person, this so-called feminist. It's so funny how they're always feminists and we're always misogynists. And we talk about bad behavior of Blake and Ryan and leave every other woman alone. Yeah. And they're horrible to every woman except for Blake.
Yeah.
They exactly. Can't. I wish somebody would make a long list. If one of these days, maybe I will, if nobody does, but some kind of chart of all the women that Blake and Ryan have caused harm to.
Yeah, because there was the 2 producers who lost their jobs as well.
Right. Yes.
I mean, I did.
And she's had women fired for, like, I remember a girl talking about working on the set, and she was supposed to get water, and Blake's like, she was acting like a fan. She looked at me. She got fired. It's ridiculous.
But again, with Shasti's video as well, it's from years ago. All she's done is kind of put it online. And people have looked at it and formed a judgment based on the behavior that took place. And it wasn't even just Blake Lively who got kind of roasted over her behavior. It was Parker Posey as well. It's just obviously one of them had a big film coming out and the other one didn't.
Yeah. But also Blake she stood up at that Times 100 thing and gave her ridiculous speech
about her mother, not about herself.
Her mother, and the story didn't make any sense. Didn't make any sense at all. What in the world? I wish somebody would have.
Do you know? That story, but I have an opinion on that.
Big women victims. Where's her voice been?
I have an opinion on that story, because I noticed she did exactly the same thing that I saw Colleen Hoover do a number of times, like including at Book Bonanza, and she did it on the stage. And she did it. You remember that private screening after Book Bonanza in Texas? Like someone had a clip on YouTube. I can't remember who it was, where Colleen Hoover stood up after the film and thanked everyone and said, this would only have been possible because of my mom and what I did it for her, what she went through. And I kind of got echoes of, like an attempt to imitate, Colleen Hoover.
Huh. Well, everything they do, they stole from someone else. So I wouldn't.
Oh man.
Yes. Where was this story during promotion, Just Ricardo?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, she was like, what do you want? What did she say? What do you want, my phone number or something? Location sharing, yeah.
So flippant, and just the way she said it.
Right.
Yeah.
Flippant. It's exactly how this writer's upset that she's been described. Flippant.
And also, she did an interview where she actually said, "I'm fortunate that I have never been affected by the issues during the marketing." Remember when she was in a floral dress with that backdrop?
And then all of a sudden her mom was almost killed.
Yeah, all of a sudden her mom,
Should I cry now? Yes,
the story is not funny. Like the content of that story is not funny, but just the fact that she said all of this and now she's like, "Oh yeah, my mom almost died, by the way. Make me an influential person this year." You know, like an influential person this year in February. Like what was it? What month was it? I don't even remember. It's like 3 or 4 months of the year.
Notice though that right immediately before she went into that story about her mom, she kind of referenced the whole situation with Wayfair, and I'm not going to talk about it. It's not the time or the place, blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. But by the way, my mom was attacked by someone, by a co-worker, and it's like,
and it was just so awkward.
Yeah,
the way she would reach out to her mom, but you could tell it felt real weird. You know, as much as she grabs on other people, like the way she touched her mom was so bizarre. Yes. Emily Cheek, what did she say? Plantation Barbie was a times 100 for a donation to the NAACP, but she didn't mention. Yeah, the people who every time I see it catches me off guard because it's little in the chat, and then when you put it up on the screen, you see that face. What was I even saying? She didn't even mention the people who nominated her. You know, why couldn't she say something?
No, and someone caught a video of her mom as well asking if she should cry.
Yes. Oh yeah. Scarlett Johansson became Hollywood's highest grossing star of all time. And you know what? I went and saw Jurassic World on the day it came out.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, it's so good.
I want to though.
I like the world ones were all a little bit goofy. I've seen them all, of course, but
I never saw the second one to this, like the second to last one before this came out. I haven't seen that yet, so I'm going to do that first.
Oh, okay, but yeah, this was good to see in the theater too. Yeah. It was really good. I think for me, it's the best one since the original.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I mean, I don't want to hype it up too much because then you do that and then people are like, "Well, this ain't so great." But I really liked it. I thought it was, and she was amazing in it. She was the star of it. She really was, and I was so proud.
All right, let's get into this a little bit. We've talked ad nauseum about the whole right wing professional pipeline thing, so we're not going to fuck with that because that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
I'm the least political person.
So much. And you can also find anyone from any.
You want to get rid of me? Talk about politics.
Sorry. You can talk about anyone, like talk about any issue, and you'll find both Republicans and Democrats, if you look hard enough, who talk about it. So if you single out a couple of Republicans or a couple Democrats, you can make anything seem like a Republican issue or a Democrat issue if you really want to. Like obviously, there's issues where people who are more predominantly Republican are going to talk about it, or people who are more predominantly liberal are going to talk about it. But like you can, if you look hard enough, like these people are just looking at a couple of people, and you don't like really do any deep search into your topic and like really look into the nuance of the situation and look at the diversity of people who are talking about it, then you can frame it as whatever the fuck you want, which is what they're going to do here. So I'm going to ignore that. I think that's stupid.
It is stupid because what about the people who aren't even Americans?
Right.
Like me.
And there's like Leanne.
Leanne is a right-wing pipeline. All right, let's get into this a little bit. A feminist YouTuber who goes by Ofi Doki calls this the Misogyny Slop ecosystem, in which pop culture sleuths on TikTok and Reddit, gossip hounds like Perez Hilton, and even the press junket reporter Shasti Flaa, whose awkward 2016 interview with Miss Lively exploded on YouTube last August, by no fault of anyone but Miss Lively, by the way. Exactly. Pump out weekly or even daily anti-Lively content that nets millions of views. Well, because right now we're having to combat shit like this. So what else are you going to do? Their theories often wind up in outlets like the Daily Mail. I regularly shit on the Daily Mail, so fuck off. We are in a culture that rewards misogynistic thinking that is baked into everybody. If you think everybody is misogynistic, is it possible that there might be something wrong with the way that you're defining and considering misogyny? Exactly. If everybody has misogyny, if everybody's misogynistic, is it possible that you are the person who might be the problem? Everybody but you. Just saying. And I'm not shitting on her personal life or who she is as a person. I don't know her. I don't know much about her. I watched a little tiny bit of her content one time and I was like, this is not for me. I'm moving on. I don't want to, like sit here and rag on this person. But this opinion right here, I'm thinking if everybody's misogynistic, if everybody else is the problem, you're the problem.
Yes, exactly.
Jesus.
And you know what it is? They have nothing tangible that they can use to defend her because she's a horrible person. So because they can't defend her, they have to attack us.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Hang on. I did not see this. Give me 1 second. Nofi Doki made a live degrading Emily Baldoni. So what the fuck is your problem? So what the fuck is your problem?
Drown kittens too and kick puppies? What is wrong with this person?
Emily is a wonderful person. What are you talking about?
Sweetest.
What is your problem? Like, so this is the problem with these people who come out and say, like, oh, there's misogyny and everybody because of blah, blah, blah.
And they're the worst ones to women.
You're shitting on everyone. Like, what is your problem?
Except Blake.
And, like, a lot of times, and I'm not saying Ofi Doki necessarily, because if she ever said a damn word about me, I wouldn't know, because, like I said, I block and move on. These are the people who, like, will come out and say, like, well, this person's a piece of shit because of X, Y, Z, even though I go out of my way not to do that to other people. Even when I don't like their opinions, I'm going to sit here and I say, I think your opinion is weird. I think this is kind of dumb, honestly. If I'm being totally honest, I think this is kind of dumb, and here's why. But I'm not going to sit here and say, like, you're a piece of shit. I hate you. You know what I mean? Like, and that the same that they'll do to me. The first thing that these people will attack almost every time is my appearance, because I look manly. I sound manly. I walk like a man. I've had that my whole life. And so, like, that's misogyny. That's what that is. Not believing a woman because she said something that isn't true.
Yeah.
So, wow. It's because she believes in natural childbirth. That's why she attacked her.
So what? We don't get to say, like, you're like, this is the whole thing. Like, you don't get to force your beliefs on other people. Okay, but you don't get to force other people not to believe what they believe. And so if that's something that she and her family, that's one of their values and their beliefs in how childbirth should be, let them do it.
Yeah.
It's not your talking about her personal experience at the end of the day. I mean, how many times have we heard
what happened to my body, my choice?
She's given birth.
Right. Is that not her body to birth the way she wants?
And she works, you know, she has her whole business as well, but, you know, based on, you know, resources and advice and everything for breastfeeding mothers.
Wow.
Jesus. Even if people like parents and stuff, they do stuff I don't agree with. I'm like, I'm not a parent, first of all. So I don't really know what it's like to be in that position. And second, it is not my fucking business. I do not get to tell other people how to raise their children. Even if I see something that's like, short of something that's abusive, because that's different, right? Abusive is different. But if it's just like weird or different, or I'm like, I don't know if you should do that. I don't know if that's the best thing. That's not my business. I'm not going to say shit.
Right.
So, you know, it's not my place.
It's just such a bloody stupid argument, though, isn't it? I mean, I don't understand the actual moan about it as well, because it's a woman talking about doing something that naturally women do. You know, cesarean sections are not a natural thing.
We didn't always have hospitals. Here we are. I mean, somebody in my family line, you know, popped one of us out in a puddle. Like, what are you going to do? There's no hospitals back then. So, like, obviously it can happen. Just saying.
Yes, it does.
Wow.
I mean, I probably wouldn't do it myself. I don't know if I ever want to give birth to a person, but, you know, I'm just saying, like, it's not my choice to make for other people.
It seems like we should have come up with a better way by now.
I can speak to this. I had my children completely naturally without any pain relief. And you know what? I'm proud of myself.
Yeah, I'm proud of you too.
I never felt more like a woman in my life.
Yeah.
I don't know. I put on eyeliner once, so I pretty much have to be there.
I haven't gone that far.
Not to brag, but I was in grad school, so I was feeling grown up. I also wore fake eyelashes to a wedding. They forced them on me, but I still wore them. So, you know, I'm basically the only woman in the world. That's what I'm saying. All right.
One child in the hospital and 3 home births. She is misogynistic. Nirvana.
Yeah, a little bit. It certainly sounds like it, yeah. Even if there is no new update to the case, these drama mongers collectively offer an endless slew of takedowns and speculation, keeping their audiences hooked. Well, if people want to listen to it, so like again, if people want to listen to it, it's because there's some merit to what's being said. They believe that there's a reason for that, and they want to like relate to people. They want to listen to people who they feel like are real people and not scripted cable news.
And when is there no new update to the case?
And what do we know? Like, what do we know now about how these outlets operate and how agencies operate and the kind of power WME has and what they can kind of force and what they can influence? Like, of course, they don't want to listen to the mainstream media all the time after looking at all the evidence that was presented to them, determining, oh my God, this lady lied. And then the news outlets are still spinning it as, well, he lost because he said something that wasn't true. And that's obviously not the case. So
because they don't investigate.
Right. So they look to other people who are in control of themselves. Like, this is my, my regular jobs and stuff like that. We all have to answer to somebody. So we're all, and I understand people who work for these outlets to some extent, who work for these agencies and outlets to some extent, they have to answer to somebody. But like when I do this, I don't have to answer to anybody. I use the language that I want, even if it's hideous, even if other people don't like it. Like, they don't have to sit here and listen to it. But people want to hear like people's real unfiltered thoughts that are not like out there just to make money, because this is not just to make money. I sit here and I talk about what I talk about because I am like a cycle of moral indignation that I cannot shut up about, apparently.
Exactly.
So it's not because you're paying me money for it. It's just, I'm just going to sit here and talk about it because that's how I feel. And that's what you're going to get. So even if people don't like it, some people don't like how I laugh. Some people don't like the language that I use, whatever. That's fine. Whether you watch or not is not really a consequence to me. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to bitch about it because that's how I feel and I want to get it off my chest. So that's pretty much how I feel about this in general. So, but do I like the money? Sure. I like the extra income. Why wouldn't I like it? I travel a lot and I get to do stuff like this and I spend my money on court documents, but like, why wouldn't I like the money? But at the same time, it's like, this is not a life to me. It's not my whole life. Absolutely not.
Right. Yeah. I disappear for days. I can
you really do. Yeah.
A video once or twice a week,
Is Cassidy okay, Lauren? Ask Cassidy if she's okay. I'm sure Cassidy's fine.
Yeah, Cassidy's got an outrageous schedule.
Cassidy's busy.
Cassidy is very busy.
Can you ask Cassidy if... No, I cannot. You should email her.
I'm sorry. I didn't know that was happening.
Oh, it happens all the time with everybody, though. Everybody. They're like, can you ask Omar? Can you ask Cassidy? I'm like, no. No, I cannot.
Oh, I saw someone post something about Zazzy. Can someone tell these TikTokers to come on YouTube?
Zazzy?
For those of us, they were Zazzy, and someone had put a video of hers on X, so I was able to watch it. But I'm like, why do people just stay on TikTok? It's so annoying. You have to keep refreshing every few seconds.
And I don't do a TikTok very much.
Why are you not on YouTube? Just come on YouTube. And there's always like a big face over what they're trying to show, and they're like hopping around, glitching out at the bottom, glitching out at the top.
Dude, I think we might just be old.
This is possible. But I like to see, my mind will wander. If all I see is your face, my mind's gonna wander. Like, put your face away and show me what you're trying to show me. Because Zazzy had this amazing stuff, but it was like super tiny on a little. Like, if you're trying to show something on your screen, shrink your face and show. I want to read what you're trying to show me, because it looked really, really good. But I'm like, come to YouTube where there's a bigger screen and you can like nicely screen share with your face off to the side and show the stuff because it looked really, really good. But you know who else I want to come to YouTube is Little Girl Attorney.
Oh yeah, I like her.
That woman is amazing. She's she's perfect. Yeah. She's literally perfect.
Well, Kenny has just said that Zazzy has got a YouTube channel.
She does? What is it?
Can you where is it? What's the name of the channel? Put it here.
Investigations by
Claire E.
Thank you. Let me write that down.
Hold on.
Yeah, because I don't TikTok. Okay, what is that? Where is it again?
I'm trying to find her here.
Oh, it rolled up. That's why.
Hold on. Oh God! Wow, that was loud. Sorry.
You guys probably have a mod that can put a link.
Laura can do it. Oh, Claire. I know Claire. Yeah. We're talking about Claire, right? This is Claire?
Yes, that's her.
You said Zazzy. Oh, who's Zazzy? No, Claire. Yeah, I know Claire. Yeah.
Okay, I thought she went by Zazzy. I had no idea. Okay.
She might, dude. I might just be stupid. I don't know. I don't do the TikTok very much either. So
to me on X.
Yeah, I put the link in the comments there, guys.
Oh, she knows. I love when people dig in and look stuff up. I started looking stuff up about Blake's hair care line.
Bad idea. Good luck with that.
It's so protected by all this rubbish. But I think it's who's the one who does the Van Zandt investigations? She does so good. She's turned into
same girl, different time.
Yes, I want to stick her on. I'm like, please.
Yeah.
I'm failing. But for some of the stuff, you have to write to the company because it's these ridiculous. Okay, Blake does not know how to make shampoo. To me, if you're going to sell shampoo, you should actually have made it. There's a lot of people who make lotion and soap, and I had a friend who used to make all that stuff, and she made it all with her own hands. But these stupid companies are they're just scams. It's another company that already makes shampoo, and then they put your name on it and sell it for you at a ridiculous price. We all know she doesn't know how to make shampoo. It's so silly.
And she didn't even try with a conditioner.
Yeah, she did a mask because when she goes and gets her hair colored, they always do a mask afterwards. Well, that's because they just colored it. But if you do a mask on your hair every single day, your hair is just going to be so coated, you're not even going to be able to brush it. Well, it doesn't look like she brushes it, but yeah, you can't use a hair mask every day.
No.
Crazy.
Nag Lauren, bring her on one of these days. I don't know if she would do that. I don't know if she's into like YouTube. I mean, if you guys want to ask her, then for sure I will talk to her. But I don't know if she's busy too, so I don't know like what her deal is with YouTube. I don't know how much she wants to spend talking to me, but I mean, she can't. Certainly, she's welcome if she wants to be. We'll see. Because I'm traveling right now. So Bushbirds! Sorry, I got really excited about the Bushbirds. Hey, Bushbirds! We were talking about you guys earlier. I told them you guys are nutty. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't say that. No, Cassidy said that. I didn't say that.
Hey, rewind. Don't be a misogynist, Lauren.
Oh my gosh, everyone's a misogynist. Don't you know it's baked into all of us?
Nat actually Golden has YouTube now. Yeah. And she posts on it more. It usually comes later. But
no, you're right. I actually put up a video when she made a channel. I was like, hey, go follow this person here. So
yeah.
All right, let's get through the rest of this because I got to go pick up my bag soon. Hopefully for real this time.
Yeah.
Okay, so we read through that. Ecosystems become effectively a tool for defending men accused of sexual violence or harassment. Well, someone should because some of these people didn't do it. Blah blah blah. Let's see. That's pretty honestly it's pretty much regurgitated from the Atlantic. Like I said, that was the same creator they cited in the Atlantic. We've talked ad nauseum about how women are not actually as dumb as these creators make them out to be. We can form our own opinions, and that's based on evidence and all kinds of different angles, and not in fact just because this person says it is misogyny if you think this or that. There's a reason people feel a certain way. And like I said, I give respect to people who, while I don't agree with them and I think their opinions are kind of nutty sometimes, I give respect to people who believe differently than me and who believe Blake's telling the truth. I think they're going to be disappointed, but that's how I feel. And so I don't attack them. I just talk about why I think these opinions are bad. So, all right, let's see. We're talking about the Taylor Swift thing here. I'm not giving any legitimacy to that because what this person is saying is not even true. So they're saying basically like that the way she framed it, it was basically that Brian Friedman made it up, in my opinion. Leanne, did you read this part?
I did, and there's absolutely no way he made that up. As he didn't. If he signed an affidavit and filed it with the court, he was absolutely telling the truth.
Yes.
Just because it was stricken doesn't mean that it wasn't an affidavit.
It was only stricken because it didn't belong on that docket.
Yes,
that's what everybody
there was actually a genuinely good reason, and I understand what Judge Lyman was doing there. It wasn't the right place. He wasn't dealing with that subpoena, but also, and he never said that Brian Friedman was citing anything defamatory or all of this crap they're saying. He said that it caused a media frenzy, which it did. We watched that in real time happen. And he has a duty to protect the case and not have anything prejudice it or anything that might later on cause a mistrial or even give Blake Lively grounds for appeal. And if he hadn't acted and got rid of that quite quickly, then that or any of those things could have happened. Yes. The only criticism I do have, and it's a small one because I adore Brian Friedman. The only criticism I do have with the way he handled that is if it was a genuine issue, he had the opportunity to raise it privately with the judge in chambers or, via a video call. He did not have to put it. I get Blake Lively filed the letter first, but he didn't have to kind of give out, and respond on the docket. So. Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
Blake Lively belonged there. No one filed a motion to strike it, whereas Blake Lively did file a motion to strike. You're muted, Lauren.
You're muted, Lauren.
I just wanted to be like Omar for a day.
So, did you hear about that the other day? His chat with me.
His 8-minute rant on mute.
For 8 minutes, and had even kicked him out, and he still hadn't noticed.
No, I'll never forget about that.
On my own.
Oh my God. It's amazing. That's a new record for him, I think. Well, actually, it might not be. I'll have to tell you about the other time later, but it was actually fucking hilarious. And I didn't know him well enough at the time to roast him when it happened, but it was bad. All right. So they're talking about Darvo here, which Darvo is like a TikTok psychology term, and I say TikTok psychology term, not because it's not a real thing. It's a very real thing in emotionally abusive relationships. But it's like a TikTok term that people misuse a lot. And I feel like people are applying it in an inappropriate context here. This is not a domestic violence relationship. This is not Johnny Depp, Amber Heard. They were not married. This woman falsely accused him, in my opinion, of sexual harassment. We have seen the video of what actually happened and how she described it. And at the very least, it does not match up with what she said, whether she intentionally lied or not. This is not a Darvo situation.
No.
Yeah, no, it's not.
And so, you know what? When they keep taking this word and using it like that, it demeans the women that it's actually happened to.
Same with misogyny. It's watering down misogyny. It's watering down abusive relationships.
They're taking the power out of these words by overusing them like this.
Yep. And it's unfortunate for people who are actually going through stuff like that, because they're going to see that and be like, well, they're just going to think I'm like a Blake Lively who's calling this, no, like they're actually some people are actually going through serious things where there's like horrible psychological abuse, and people can actually like kind of browbeat someone into believing they're in the wrong when they're not. And we are supposed to believe that Blake Lively misstating at best what happened in that dance film footage is a Darvo situation.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Yeah, exactly.
There are all the women in the world that you could sit here and support. You're not, right? But you're picking this one. Why? Because she's going to grab headlines and she's going to get you clicks, just like you're accusing everyone else of doing.
Yep.
But the truth is, she has the most visibility, and therefore her case is going to get the most attention. And it also feels like it feels very important because of that. There's going to be more eyes on it. So it's more important to talk about these issues in that context. So I understand that to mean it's just an important topic that we all want to debate. And these people understand it to mean drama mongers want clicks, get so much money. Like, what are you talking about? I might get like $20 in ad revenue. Like, what are you talking about?
Exactly.
I'm gonna use that to
here.
No, I'm gonna use that to buy. I'm gonna use that to buy toothpaste and like a candy bar. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? I might pay for parking next time I go out. Like, what are you talking about? I'm not. Oh my God.
I know these people need to go to. What is it? Social Blade? Is that the one? And you can see what people, how much people make on YouTube.
Oh, can you? Okay, yeah. I didn't know about that, but you know, if you want to check out how much I make on YouTube, that's fine. But you also have to take in consideration the amount of work I put into this. So please, yeah. Like I said, some of that has to go to taxes as well. It's not like this isn't taxed. And then also, like I said, to the document fund that I put in. So it's not like I'm making that much money. But like I said, it's not like I can't pay for anything either because I get to travel and stuff like that. But in order to do that, I had to put in 5 solid months of doing nothing but working. So it's not like it's like a get rich quick thing. Like I was sleep deprived for like the first half of the year, and now I'm like I sleep twice a week. So it's a little I don't know. It's not great money, but it's okay sometimes. You know, it's good sometimes.
Yeah, it's not money to live off of. That's for certain.
Right? No, definitely not. All right, let's see. I don't know if there was anything else really important here. I'm not giving any more. Assault.
So dramatic.
I didn't see that before. That scared me. Sorry, I didn't see that before. You scared me with the global assault thing. Oh, okay. On Miss Heard's credibility. I'm done. I'm done for today. Oh God. No, we're not talking any more about Amber Heard today. Global assault on Amber Heard's credibility. What the fuck? Amber Heard was her worst enemy.
Okay, I just saw unflattering footage.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that can't be there if you didn't do the stuff. You know, right. You're not going to find a nice person with the kind of footage out there.
Oh, so they're talking about, okay, so men without existing platforms can film videos of women at their lowest, like when they're screaming or crying on the floor. Yeah, right, exactly. Post that unflattering footage online where it can go viral overnight. Okay, you know who's doing that most of the time to those women? Other women.
Yes.
What are you talking about? Yes. Other women are overwhelmingly the people filming these women. And also that person screaming and crying on the floor, they're screaming and crying on the floor because they're being filmed after they did something wrong. So why don't you shut the fuck up and actually look into some context? Good Lord. I wish I could think of an example off the top of my head, but I know exactly what she's referring to, and that's bullshit. Okay. Men's rights activists. We're not men's rights activists. I think everyone here can agree. We're not men's rights activists. No,
I mean, go through the history of my channel. Before I covered this story, I was, kind of like what I do for Judge Lyman, who, by the way, is not a woman, in case nobody noticed. But it was corrupt attorneys, corrupt senator, corrupt judges, almost all men. There was one woman judge and one woman attorney. The rest of the people I talked about and uncovered, all men. But it was all like people with a lot of power that were harming the weak and vulnerable people. That's always been my thing.
I don't know, man. Most of the time it was men. Me, but...
this is the one time it's a woman.
Right.
Oh, I'm such a misogynist. I just don't like
that's my first impression. Cassie's misogynist is absolutely what I thought.
I'm so mean to all these women around me, right?
Well, they shouldn't be such cunts. Sorry, we made it 1 hour and 37 minutes before I said the word cunt today. So, yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah. See, we're supporting her. We're not misogynist. Yay, Lauren!
The woman's right to free speech. I feel so vindicated. I'm suing anyone in the chat who didn't like that. All right.
Lay on the floor and cry next time.
So they're talking about how this is an aggressive rejection of the gains made under Me Too, which is not true. And I feel like we've talked about this ad nauseum. Like, this is not Me Too. This is not a Me Too case. No, this is just some chick who lied about shit. Like, what are you talking about?
My very first post that I made because at first I believed her. But after the dance thing and some legal documents, I was like, oh my goodness, she's lying. The very first post I made was a face of her. And I said, and it was on my Instagram. And I said, the face of the woman who single-handedly took down the Me Too movement. Because my thing was, every time a woman comes forward and lies and does something like this, uses this as a weapon, there will now be hundreds of thousands of women who will not be believed. If anyone has harmed the Me Too movement, it's her.
Right.
Yeah.
Leanne, Me Too, was that like a global thing, or is that like just here? I don't know.
No, there was some of it in the UK as well. Like, because we obviously have we've got film studios here as well.
Sure.
So there was quite a bit of it in the UK. I'm sure it was in other countries as well. It was obviously more prevalent in America because you got Hollywood. But I mean, I completely agree. There was and it's the same again. This was the same argument that was used in the closing of the Depp Heard case.
25%.
There was no Me Too. There's no one has come forward and said Me Too. So it's not a Me Too case.
It's not. How can I be misogynistic when I don't like 98% of people, male or female?
Now you're saying that, Cassidy, that you believed her at first. I did not. I never did. There was her CRD was off to look at as a legal filing. It was just off from the start.
Well, I didn't see the CRD right away. I just heard the stories on mainstream.
I thoroughly combed through the New York Times, but I'd heard of Justin Baldoni and kind of the kind of really good work he does and how he handles the sensitive topics and things. And I'd heard of Adam Monshine, the OBGYN actor. And like just straight off, when I saw that she was like, oh, well, he hired his friend, a guy, he's not even an actor. And I was like, but this guy is seriously an actor. Like, his resume is so much better
he had
than
the best
yours.
resume of anyone on the entire set.
Yeah, honestly.
Yes,
for a non-speaking role.
I didn't see the CRD for a long time. And I was the same. I saw the New York Times article and it was horrible. And I had no idea who Justin was. I'd never watched the show. I'm not a big, follower of celebrities. I didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
So, and her, I had only watched The Age of Adeline. And then besides that, I knew she was married to Ryan Reynolds, who I'd only watched Woman in Gold and The Proposal.
The Proposal is a good movie. I love The Proposal.
Yeah, I did enjoy that.
Yeah.
And Betty White. What's that?
I did enjoy The Proposal.
Yeah.
But I hadn't heard of her. I knew she was married to him, but like, you don't want to say that you've heard of someone because of who their husband is, because that sounds misogynistic. But I don't know. There was just something. The filing looked awful. It didn't make sense to me at all.
Yeah, that's when I actually started reading it, and then I read his complaint, and that was it. Yeah. But the best thing they did was release that dance video, because even like when people were saying that hurt his case, I think when it comes to what he was accused of, I think sometimes things are more important. He has a beautiful wife that he adores. He has children. He has a lot of people who love him. He needed, I think for his own self, he needed to get something out there right away as proof.
Right.
I didn't do this.
Yeah, he did. And I think, I've said this before, neither of their first filings had any real law in it. I didn't consider them to be particularly legal filings. So when Judge Lyman said, well, the claims weren't pled very well, he's not wrong. And I do think that had Wayfarer filed a motion for dismissal from Lively's claims, they would have got it too, for the same grounds that she didn't really cite any law either. But in terms of Brian Friedman, the brief being fixing the PR damage that was caused, I think he's done that. And he's like, he got the memo, and he is. I think Justin Baldoni now will walk out of this, regardless of whether she withdraws her claims or he goes in and wins. The only situation I see him coming out of it still in a really, really bad position is going to be if he loses the case, loses the defense. If she has some kind of, something really special hidden that she has shown no one all this time, which is cast iron evidence of some sexual
You mean her
harassment.
sister's testimony?
because I do not think the retaliation claims are going to stick, because I think the retaliation, even if she was to like say, well, it's retaliation because I raised the issue back in January, I think August is far too far away to be able to call it retaliation. I think it's too long a time has passed.
Which is why she had to add the SH claims, because it was too far away. What did I say? Yes. Where did she say that? They yes, Angel's voice. They counted on him tucking his tail and running away and hiding under a rock. That's what I think.
Well, not completely without merit, because up until this point, he had been kind of doing that. Yeah. He hadn't pushed back particularly hard, but everyone, even the most passive people, they still have limits. And I think when she filed and went public, it was no longer that it was hurting him. It was hurting Wayfarer. It went beyond that. It was starting to hurt their wives, their children.
Yeah.
And I believe he is a man who will. I believe they will all fight for their wives and their children.
I don't know how those wives have been so calm and nice through all of this. I would have cut. I would have cut someone.
You would have cut someone. Oh my god.
They've probably got a face on a dartboard and throwing knives at it.
I kind of want to see that. All right, let me run through some of these super chats real quick. Millennial Mom, thank you for the 10. I love you all and appreciate everything you do. I also share your content regularly. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
Kim, thank you for the 5. If you can give Pacer bucks, thank you guys. Millennial Mom, thank you for the 5. More money for Pacer. Thank you. I appreciate it. Katie of Arc, thank you for the $20 for Pacer. I'm definitely going to be spending this on the Pacer bill.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Because it comes every 3 months. It's always a shock.
Oh god, yeah. Kitty Vixen, thank you for the 5. Pacer Fund, love you. Lauren, love you back. Thank you very much. Let's see. Wicked Smart. I get it. Wicked Smart. Okay. Thank you for the 20. Thank you for the $20. Appreciate you. Thank you very much.
I love it.
Yeah. Vilo, thank you for the 10 Pacer bucks. Appreciate it.
Oh, the doggy and a hot dog. That
was cute. And Lala, thank you for the 2. Docs, money. I'm poor, just bought above ground pool. You don't have to give me your money if you're poor. Just let me swim in your pool, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you, though. Thank you. Michelle Moulton, thank you for the 14 to the Pacer Cough Hub Fund. Oh, God. Not the Hub
Fund. Oh, no.
Everybody knows what the Hub Fund is, right?
What Omar did to you, right?
Yeah. Leanne, are you familiar with the Hub Fund?
No, fill me in.
Okay. Omar trolled me one night and told everyone that I needed money for Pornhub Premium. And I got almost...
They started a fund.
I got well over $100 in Venmo donations. Like I got like $200 or $300, but only half of that I think was for Pornhub Premium. People were like, "Get the premium." So I was like, "Oh my god, yeah." Roman Chateau, thank you for the DKK45. I appreciate you. Rainy Day Sprite, thank you for the 5. How does misogyny explain the vitriol directed at Ryan? Also, the resource was a monetized creator, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, those good points.
Yeah, that's a good point.
MMT. Go ahead.
I think I've gone harder for the New York Times and Judge Lyman and Ryan than anybody.
That's probably true. Yeah. MMT 1976.
No violent reactions.
We appreciate you, Lauren. Peace or money. Thank you very much. Mary Atani K Swoop, thank you for the $10 super sticker. Appreciate you. Jill D, thank you for the 10. Love this panel. Thank you. Well, thank you, Jill. Appreciate it. 19K Keaton Kiddo, thank you for the 5. Her mom seemed needing direction and said yes. I think we're talking about the Time 100 thing. Blake said yes. Blake's dad was there. She seemed not all present. Why hasn't she spoken lately? We're talking about the mom. Anybody know exactly what the question is here? I'm trying to understand. Her mom seemed needing direction and said yes. Blake's dad was there.
Like her mom wasn't all there.
I guess so.
A little lost.
That makes sense. Yeah, seemed not all present. Why hasn't she spoken lately? The mom or Blake? I know the mom hasn't spoken at all, really. But
Well, she asked if she should cry.
I saw that. Yeah. Well, thank you for the 5, and hopefully we answered your question. I'm not positive. If not, leave it in the comments after this video, and I will definitely get back to you. Rainy Day Sprite, thank you for the 5. I'm going to write a guest essay for the New York Times op-ed page. Let's see if it will be published. My sources, you ladies, will be legit. Thank you very much. It's definitely not getting published, but thank you very much. I appreciate it. They would never publish our opinions because it's not going to fit there. Oh, Michelle, help Lauren get premium hub. Gosh, thanks so much. Appreciate it. If you send me money on Venmo, I will get back to you. I always send everybody a note back, but sometimes it takes me a couple weeks because I'm like, I haven't looked at this in a while. So, all right. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it. I will talk to you all soon. And thanks, Leanne and Cassidy, for joining me today. I do have to go get my bag again.
I hope you get it.
Can I quickly just say as well, because I was supposed to be starting a live stream with Anita now. I am pushing it back to 9 because I got to grab something.
9 is what time? 9 is what time for us?
6 hours.
So in an hour. It's 8 o'clock here now.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I'm just pushing it back a little bit, but we are still going to be going live later.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Okay. Well, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you, Lauren. Loved it.
Thank you, chat, for all the support and nice things.
Let me see if I can pull up. Do you have redirects turned on, Leanne?
Me?
Yeah.
What's a redirect?
Where I can redirect to your channel after this is over.
Oh.
Or do you have it set up yet?
I don't have it set up yet. No.
Okay.
Yeah. If you can just I can just chuck it out. I could put it in the chat, couldn't I? Or
yeah, I can. I can post a link in my. I can put a link in my community tab.
I'm gonna put a link to your channel here. Let me see. And also, we're gonna redirect to Donna. I'm gonna be filming Daily Dose of Donna with Donna and Zach in a few hours. So.
Cool.
As well.
You need
to go out there to her studio. Let's see. 1 sec if I can find. So,
are they going to do it live or are they?
I don't know. Actually, I didn't ask. I was just kind of like, yeah, sure, I'll show up.
Aw.
All right, I put a link to Leanne's channel in the chat here. We'll link to Cassidy's too. Hang on. And here it is. Okay, there we go. Yes, go say hi to Donna for me. You'll redirect as soon as I hit the end button here. Thank you, everybody, for joining us again. And I'll see you all soon. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Hope you get your bag.
Me too.